The day I caught my fiancé cheating started like any other perfect morning. The sun streamed through our bedroom windows, Frederick's arm draped lazily across my waist, and my engagement ring sparkled mockingly on my finger. I had no idea that in less than an hour I'd discover the truth that would change everything. I'm Reagan, and until that morning, I thought I was living a charmed life. At 34, I had a successful career in corporate finance, a gorgeous home in Boston's Back Bay, and was engaged to what I believed was the perfect man. Frederick was everything I dreamed of, successful, charming, and supposedly devoted to me. "Morning, beautiful," Frederick mumbled, kissing my shoulder before rolling out of bed. "Early meeting today? Don't forget we have dinner with your sister tonight." I watched him head to the shower, admiring how put together he always looked, even first thing in the morning. That's when I noticed his phone lighting up on the nightstand. A text notification caught my eye. "Can't wait to see you later. Missing you already." The message wasn't from me. My stomach lurched, but years of handling high-stakes negotiations kept my voice steady. "Hey, babe," I called out. "Want me to grab your phone? Looks like you got a message." "No." The shower stopped abruptly. No need. Probably just work. That's when I knew. After he left, I did something I'd never done before. I logged into our joint account. Frederick had insisted on combining finances after the engagement, calling it a sign of trust. I scrolled through the transactions, my hands shaking. Expensive restaurant charges for dates I'd never been on, hotel bookings on nights he'd claimed to be working late, and there it was, a receipt for a jewelry store downtown from just last week. "Rachel, I need you to meet me for coffee, now." I called my best friend, my voice cracking. 20 minutes later, I sat across from Rachel at our favorite cafe, sliding my phone across the table. "Look at these charges." Rachel's eyes widened as she scrolled. "Reagan, honey, that's not even the worst part," I said, taking a sip of my rapidly cooling latte. "I think I know who it is." "Who?" "Kayla, my sister." Rachel nearly choked on her coffee. "Your sister? How do you know?" "The restaurants. They're all near her apartment. The jewelry store receipt? It's where she works. And that text this morning?" I pulled out my phone and showed her a photo I'd taken of Frederick's screen. "That's how she always texts. The same way she's done since high school." "That little snake," Rachel hissed. "What are you gonna do? Cancel the wedding?" I stared out the window, watching people rush by, living their normal lives while mine crumbled around me. Then something shifted inside me. "No," I said slowly. "I'm not canceling anything." Rachel leaned forward. "What do you mean?" "They think they're so clever sneaking around behind my back, but they've forgotten something crucial." I smiled, though it didn't reach my eyes. "I'm better at playing the long game than both of them combined." "Reagan?" Rachel's voice held a note of warning. "What are you planning?" "The wedding's in 6 weeks. That's plenty of time to make sure they both get exactly what they deserve." I pulled out my notebook and started writing. "First, I need a private investigator. Then I need to make some careful adjustments to our prenup." "You're scaring me a little," Rachel admitted, "but I'm also impressed." My phone buzzed, a text from Kayla. "Can't wait for dinner tonight. Love you, sis." I showed it to Rachel, who shook her head in disgust. "Oh, I'll give them dinner," I said, already drafting a mental script for the evening ahead. "And then I'll give them the performance of a lifetime. They want to play games? Let's play." I looked at my engagement ring again, but this time I saw it differently. It wasn't a symbol of love anymore. It was a key to my revenge, and I was going to make it count. "You know what the best part is?" I told Rachel as we gathered our things to leave. "They think I'm the predictable one, the responsible sister, the woman who always follows the rules." I laughed softly. "They have no idea what I'm capable of." Rachel squeezed my hand. "Just be careful, okay?" Revenge can be dangerous. Don't worry, I assured her, my mind already racing with plans. I'm not gonna do anything rash. This needs to be perfect. And when I'm done, they'll wish they'd never betrayed me. As I walked out of the cafe, my phone buzzed again. Frederick this time. Looking forward to dinner with my two favorite women. I smiled as I typed my reply. Me too, honey, me too. Dinner that night was an exercise in self-control. I watched my sister Kayla pick at her salad, her perfectly manicured nails drumming against her water glass every time Frederick spoke. She'd always been the prettier sister, something she never let me forget. But tonight, I noticed how her beauty had a desperate edge to it. So, Reagan, Kayla chirped, have you picked out your wedding dress yet? Time's running out. I took a deliberate sip of wine. Actually, I have an appointment this weekend. You're still coming, right? Of course. She reached across the table to squeeze my hand. I wouldn't miss it for anything. Frederick shifted in his seat, his tie suddenly too tight. I'd seen that tell before, usually when he was lying to clients. You should come too, Frederick, I suggested sweetly. Break tradition a little. Oh, I don't think, he started. He can't, Kayla interrupted too quickly. I mean, it's bad luck, right? I smiled. Right, bad luck. After dinner, Frederick excused himself to take a call. The moment he stepped away, Kayla leaned forward. Are you okay? You seem different tonight. Different how? I don't know. Distant, maybe. She twisted her napkin. Getting cold feet? Actually, I've never been more certain about anything in my life, I replied, maintaining eye contact until she looked away first. The next morning, I met with Samson, the private investigator Rachel had recommended. His office was small but meticulously organized, just like his mind, I'd soon learn. Your suspicions were correct, he said, sliding a folder across his desk. They've been meeting for at least 6 months. I have photos, hotel records, and, he paused, recordings of some conversations you might want to hear. I opened the folder, my hands steady. Tell me everything. They're not as careful as they think they are. Your fiancé has been transferring money to an account in your sister's name. Small amounts, but they add up. How much? Just over $50,000 so far. I thought about the joint account Frederick had insisted on. My money, my sister. There's more, Samson continued. They've been looking at apartments together, in Chicago. I laughed, the sound sharp in the quiet office. Chicago, where I've been trying to get Frederick to relocate for my job for the past year? The lease application is in both their names. Move-in date is set for 2 weeks after your wedding date. Perfect, I whispered. That's perfect. Later that day, I met Rachel for lunch. Her eyes widened as I laid out what I'd learned. Holy shit, Reagan, they were planning to run away together? Apparently, I stabbed at my salad. But here's the interesting part. Frederick doesn't know about the trust fund. The one from your grandmother? I nodded. The one that only activates when I get married. The one that would make me sole controller of not just my inheritance, but the family business interests too. I smiled. The one Kayla's been bitter about since we were teenagers. Does Frederick know how much it's worth? He knows it's substantial, but he doesn't know the details. I leaned back. And Kayla doesn't know that I know about her little Chicago plans. Rachel shook her head. You're terrifying when you're strategic. You know that? I learned from the best. Corporate mergers and acquisitions. Always know more than your opponent thinks you know. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Darling, don't forget the cake tasting tomorrow. Kayla's coming too. Perfect timing, I told Rachel. Watch this. I called my mother, putting her on speaker. Mom, about tomorrow. I was thinking we should invite Frederick's mother too. Make it a real family affair. Oh, that's a wonderful idea, Mom gushed. I'll call her right now. Within minutes, my phone lit up with a text from Kayla. Why did you invite his mom? It'll be so awkward. Because that's what families do, I typed back. Unless there's some reason you don't want her there? 3 dots appeared and disappeared several times before she finally responded. No reason. See you tomorrow. Rachel raised an eyebrow. You're enjoying this, aren't you? You know what they say about revenge being a dish best served cold? I showed her my phone. I prefer to think of it as a wedding cake best served with a side of justice. Just promise me one thing, Rachel said, reaching for my hand. Promise me you know what you're doing. I thought about the prenup in my desk drawer, the trust fund paperwork waiting to be filed, and the evidence Samson had gathered. Oh, I know exactly what I'm doing, and by the time I'm done, so will everyone else. My phone buzzed again. Frederick, can't wait to taste our future together tomorrow. I typed back, neither can I, honey, neither can I. The cake tasting turned out to be even better than I'd planned. Frederick's mother, Patricia, was a former divorce attorney with a razor-sharp eye for detail, and she didn't miss a thing. Kayla, dear, Patricia said, watching my sister sample a slice of lemon cake. You look a bit peaked. Are you feeling all right? Kayla's fork clattered against the plate. Just tired. Work's been crazy. Patricia turned to me. Reagan, have you given any thought to the prenuptial agreement I sent over? Frederick nearly choked on his champagne. Mother, we agreed. Actually, I cut in smoothly, I've reviewed it with my lawyers. They suggested a few additions. My mother frowned. Additions? But darling, isn't that a bit? It's fine, Frederick interrupted, his voice tight. Whatever Reagan wants. I watched Kayla's knuckles turn white around her fork. She'd always been terrible at hiding her emotions. Speaking of agreements, I said, I've been thinking about moving the trust fund activation date up, before the wedding. The reaction was immediate. Kayla's head snapped up, and Frederick's expression shifted from concern to poorly concealed interest. But why? My mother asked. Your grandmother's wishes were very specific. Just thinking ahead, I replied, catching Patricia's knowing look. Planning for our future, right, Frederick? Right, he mumbled, suddenly very interested in his cake sample. After the tasting, I deliberately left my phone on the table when I excused myself to the bathroom. I'd installed a recording app the day before, and sure enough, when I retrieved it later, I had exactly what I needed. Kayla's voice. What are we going to do? If she activates the trust fund early. Frederick, calm down. This changes nothing. Kayla, but the Chicago apartment? Frederick, I said calm down. Let me handle it. That evening, I met with Samson again, playing him the recording. This is good, he said, adding it to his growing file. But we need more, especially if you want to void the prenup completely. What about the bank transfers? Those help, but we need something concrete about their plans after the wedding. He hesitated. There's one more thing. Your sister's been to the doctor recently. Multiple times. My stomach dropped. Tell me. OB/GYN visits, 3 of them in the past month. I leaned back in my chair, letting out a long breath. She's pregnant. Looks that way. Want me to confirm? No need. I pulled out my phone, showing him a photo I'd taken at the cake tasting. She didn't touch the champagne, not a single sip. The next day, I had lunch with Madison, my cousin, and the family gossip. I needed to plant some seeds. I'm worried about Kayla, I said, watching Madison's eyes light up. She's been acting strange lately. Strange how? Just different, emotional, and she's been avoiding alcohol. Madison gasped. You don't think? I'm sure it's nothing, I said quickly. Just wedding stress. But keep an eye on her for me? Of course. Madison was practically vibrating with excitement. You know me, always happy to help. That afternoon, Frederick called. About the trust fund, he started. Yes? Are you sure you want to activate it early? It seems unnecessary. I twirled my pen, thinking about the recording in my possession. Having second thoughts about our future? What? No, of course not. He paused. I love you, Reagan. You know that, right? I know exactly how much you love me, I replied. Don't worry about the trust fund. I've got it all under control. After hanging up, I called Rachel. They took the bait, I told her. All of it. The pregnancy? Confirmed. Madison's already spreading the whispers, just like I knew she would. And the trust fund? Frederick's sweating. He thinks I'm activating it early, which means he and Kayla are probably accelerating their plans. Rachel was quiet for a moment. Are you sure you want to wait until the wedding day? Why not confront them now? I looked at the calendar on my wall, the wedding date circled in red. Because some things are worth waiting for. They chose their moment to betray me. I'm choosing my moment to destroy them. My phone buzzed with a text from Kayla. Can we talk? Just us sisters? Of course, I typed back. Dinner tomorrow? Perfect. Love you so much. I smiled at my phone, thinking about the recording app I'd be running during our entire dinner. Love you too, sis. Can't wait to hear everything you have to tell me. The pieces were falling into place one by one, and soon, very soon, they'd all come crashing down. Dinner with Kayla was a master class in manipulation. She chose a quiet Italian restaurant, the same one where Frederick had taken her on their first secret date, according to Sampson's report. The irony wasn't lost on me. Reagan, she started, fidgeting with her water glass. I need to tell you something. Is everything okay? I reached across the table to touch her hand, noting how she flinched. You seem nervous. She swallowed hard. I met someone. I kept my expression neutral. Oh? It's serious, really serious. Her hand drifted unconsciously to her stomach. But it's complicated. Complicated how? Before she could answer, her phone buzzed. Frederick's name flashed across the screen. She flipped it face down too quickly. Work, she muttered, always calling. Must be busy at the jewelry store, I said innocently. All those engagement rings. She paled slightly. Right, yeah. The waiter arrived with our drinks. Wine for me, sparkling water for her. I raised my glass. To complicated love? Reagan, She looked like she might cry. You're my sister. I never wanted to. Never wanted to what? She shook her head. Nothing. Never mind. Let's talk about the wedding. How's the dress hunting going? Actually, I said, I found the perfect one. Want to see? I pulled out my phone, showing her a photo of an elaborate white gown. The same one I'd caught her trying on secretly last week, according to the bridal shop owner who'd called me. Her face went from pale to green. It's beautiful. Isn't it? I'm having it altered next week. You should come. I can't, she said quickly. I have appointments. Doctor appointments? I asked softly. She knocked over her water glass. How did you... Madison mentioned you weren't feeling well. I helped her mop up the spill. Is there something you want to tell me? No. She grabbed her purse. I mean, not yet. I have to go. After she fled, I called Rachel. She almost confessed, I told her. About the pregnancy, at least. Not about Frederick. Did you get it recorded? Every word. I forwarded her the audio file, including Frederick's perfectly timed text. The next morning, I had breakfast with my mother. She was reviewing wedding details when Madison burst in. Aunt Evelyn, Reagan, you'll never believe what I heard. My mother sighed. Madison, dear, Kayla's pregnant. She told Sarah at yoga, who told Amanda, who told me. I watched my mother's coffee cup freeze halfway to her lips. What? I know, and get this, she won't say who the father is. Reagan, My mother turned to me. Did you know about this? I had my suspicions, I said carefully. She's been acting strange lately. Strange how? Ask Frederick, Madison piped up. They've been having a lot of business lunches lately. My mother's eyes narrowed. What exactly are you implying? Nothing, I said quickly. I'm sure there's a perfectly reasonable explanation. Later that day, Frederick called, sounding agitated. Your mother just called me. Oh? She was asking weird questions about Kayla, about our business lunches. I let the silence stretch. And nothing. They're just lunches. Planning your wedding gift, actually. How thoughtful, I said, thinking of the Chicago apartment lease in my desk drawer. You've always been so generous. That evening, Samson delivered his final report. They're planning to leave the night of the wedding. Tickets to Chicago are already booked. Both of them? Yes, and there's more. He handed me a document. Your sister's pregnancy test results. 12 weeks along. I did the math. The night of our engagement party. I'm sorry, he said quietly. Don't be. I opened my laptop, pulling up the trust fund documents. This is exactly what I needed. My phone lit up with a text from Kayla. Can we talk tomorrow, please? It's important. Sorry, sis, I typed back. Crazy day of wedding preparations, but I'll see you at the rehearsal dinner next week. Rachel called just as I was finishing up with Samson. Madison's spreading the pregnancy rumors like wildfire, she reported. Your mother's asking questions. Frederick's panicking. Are you sure you want to wait? I looked at the calendar again. 3 weeks until the wedding. The longer they think they're getting away with it, the sloppier they get, I explained. Besides, I want witnesses, lots of them. You're terrifying, Rachel said, but I could hear the admiration in her voice. No, I corrected her. I'm just giving them exactly what they deserve, a moment they'll never forget. I picked up the pregnancy test results, sliding them into my growing file of evidence. After all, I added, what's a wedding without a few surprises? The rehearsal dinner was a powder keg waiting to explode. I watched Kayla adjust her loose-fitting dress for the 100th time, while Frederick kept checking his phone under the table. They'd barely looked at each other all evening, but their panic was palpable. A toast, Madison stood, champagne flute in hand, to the happy couple. Kayla's face went ash white as the servers poured champagne. When they reached her, she waved them away. Not drinking, dear? Patricia asked, her lawyer's instincts clearly tingling. That's the 3rd time this week I've seen you refuse champagne. My mother's head snapped up. Kayla? I'm on antibiotics, Kayla stammered. Funny, Madison chimed in. Sarah from yoga said, Madison. My mother cut her off sharply. Not now. Frederick loosened his tie. Maybe we should start the dinner. Actually, I said, standing up, I'd like to say something first. The room fell silent. Kayla gripped her water glass so hard I thought it might shatter. I just want to thank everyone for being here, I began, especially my dear sister, Kayla. You've been so involved in the wedding planning, always there every step of the way, sometimes in places I didn't even expect. Frederick's fork clattered against his plate. And Frederick, I continued, you've been absolutely incredible at juggling everything. Work, wedding planning, all those late-night meetings and business lunches. Your dedication is remarkable. Rachel, sitting beside me, squeezed my knee under the table, our signal that I was pushing it too far. To family, I finished, raising my glass, and to secrets that can't stay buried forever. What's that supposed to mean? My mother asked sharply. Nothing, Frederick jumped in. She's just emotional. Wedding jitters. Later, in the restaurant's powder room, I overheard Kayla throwing up. Madison was right behind her. Are you sure you're okay? Madison asked. Because my friend's cousin is an OB/GYN, and I'm fine, Kayla snapped. Just food poisoning. For 3 weeks straight, I slipped out before they could see me, almost running into Patricia in the hallway. Reagan, she said quietly, we need to talk. She led me to a quiet corner. I've been a divorce attorney for 30 years. I know when something's wrong. What's going on? Why don't you ask your son? Her eyes narrowed. I'm asking you. The wedding's in 2 days, I said. Trust me, everything will become clear then. Back at the table, Frederick was deep in conversation with my mother. Just concerned about Kayla, I heard her say. She's not herself lately. I'm sure she's fine, Frederick replied, but his hand shook as he reached for his wine. My phone buzzed, a text from Samson. Chicago apartment lease signed today, both names on it. Everything okay? Frederick asked, noticing my expression. Perfect, I smiled. Just wedding details. After dinner, Rachel pulled me aside. Your mother's asking questions. Madison's practically bursting to spill everything she knows. Maybe we should... No, I cut her off. 2 more days. That's all we need. But what if Kayla breaks first? She looked ready to confess tonight. She won't, I said confidently. She's too afraid of losing everything. The money, Frederick, the family's respect. And you're not afraid of losing anything? I watched Kayla and Frederick having a heated, whispered argument by the coat check. I already lost everything the moment they betrayed me. Now I'm just making sure they lose more. My mother caught up with me as I was leaving. Reagan, honey, is there something you're not telling me about Kayla? Mom, I said, hugging her. In 2 days, everything will make sense. I promise. She held me at arm's length, studying my face. You're planning something, aren't you? Just like when you were little and Kayla stole your toys. I'm not planning anything, I lied smoothly. I'm just preparing for my perfect day. As I left the restaurant, I heard Kayla call out, Reagan, wait. I turned. Yes? She stood there, one hand on her stomach, mouth opening and closing. Finally, she just said, I love you. You know that, right? I know exactly how much you love me, I replied, thinking of the evidence file waiting at home. See you at the wedding, sis. In my car, I checked my phone one last time. A text from Frederick. Everything okay? You seemed off tonight. Just nervous about the big day, I replied. Can't wait to surprise everyone. Rachel called as I was driving home. Last chance to call this off. I thought about the pregnancy test results, the Chicago apartment lease, the bank transfers, and all the lies. No, I said firmly. They chose their moment to betray me. Saturday, I choose my moment to destroy them. And then what? I smiled in the darkness of my car. And then I walk away, leaving them with nothing but each other and their guilt. The morning of my wedding dawned bright and clear. I sat in the bridal suite, watching the makeup artist work on Kayla's face, noting how her hands kept drifting to her stomach when she thought no one was looking. You're so calm, Rachel whispered, adjusting my veil. It's almost scary. Everything's ready? I murmured back. She nodded. Samson delivered the final package to the officiant. Madison's been properly prepped. Your mother's still suspicious, but she's focused on the ceremony. And the trust fund papers? Filed yesterday. It's all yours now. Kayla approached, looking pale despite the makeup. Can we talk? Privately? Now? I checked the time. We're due at the church in an hour. Please, she begged. It's important. I followed her into the bathroom, where she immediately burst into tears. I can't do this, she sobbed. I can't watch you. A knock at the door interrupted her. Kayla? It was Frederick. Are you in there? No men allowed, Rachel called out. Bad luck. I need to speak with her, he insisted. It's urgent. I opened the door just enough to see his face. Everything okay, honey? Yes, just wedding day jitters. His eyes darted to the bathroom behind me. Is Kayla? She's touching up her makeup, I said sweetly. Want me to give her a message? He tugged at his collar. No message. As the hour approached, the bridal suite became a flurry of activity. My mother fussed with my dress while Madison hovered nearby, practically vibrating with suppressed gossip. Reagan, Madison whispered when we were alone, I have to tell you something about Kayla. Not now, I cut her off. Everything's perfect. Let's keep it that way. The church filled quickly. I watched through a crack in the door as Frederick paced at the altar, checking his phone every few minutes. Kayla sat in the front row, clutching her bouquet like a lifeline. Last chance, Rachel said, squeezing my hand. We could still call this off. And miss the show? I smiled. Never. My mother appeared, tears in her eyes. Darling, you look beautiful. But are you sure about this? You seem different lately. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. The music started. The bridesmaids lined up, Kayla taking her place as maid of honor. Her hands were shaking so badly she almost dropped her flowers. Ready? My father asked, offering his arm. More than ready. As we prepared to walk down the aisle, I heard Madison's excited whisper to another bridesmaid. Just wait. This is going to be better than any reality TV show. The doors opened. Everyone stood. Frederick's face was a mask of forced happiness, but I could see the sweat on his brow. Halfway down the aisle, Kayla swayed slightly. The woman next to her steadied her with a concerned look. Poor thing, someone whispered. Must be the heat. I took my place at the altar, watching Frederick's face as the officiant began to speak. He couldn't look me in the eye. Before we begin, the officiant announced, exactly as I'd arranged, the bride has requested a moment to share some words. Frederick's head snapped up. This wasn't part of the plan. I turned to face our guests, my voice clear and steady. I want to thank everyone for being here today, especially those who've been particularly invested in this wedding. In fact, I'm pregnant, Kayla suddenly burst out, her voice echoing through the church. I'm pregnant, and it's Frederick's baby. The church erupted in gasps and murmurs. My mother's hand flew to her mouth. Frederick went pale, but I didn't move, didn't flinch. Instead, I smiled. I know, I said calmly. Kayla's eyes widened. What? I've known for weeks about everything. The affair, the Chicago apartment, the money transfers. I turned to Frederick. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? Reagan, he started, reaching for me. I stepped back. Just don't. Madison, right on cue, stood up. I have copies of everything, the lease, the bank statements, the pregnancy test. The chaos that followed was exactly what I'd planned for, but I wasn't done yet. One more thing, I said, my voice cutting through the uproar. Frederick, remember that trust fund you were so interested in? The one you and Kayla were counting on? He nodded numbly. I activated it yesterday, and as of this morning, every penny has been donated to a women's shelter for victims of betrayal. All perfectly legal, all completely irreversible. The color drained from both their faces as they realized what I'd done. Now, I said, removing my veil, if you'll excuse me, I have a life to get back to. One without either of you in it. The church exploded into chaos. My mother lunged at Frederick, her perfectly manicured nails nearly catching his face. You monster, both of you. Patricia, Frederick's mother, stood up calmly. As a divorce attorney, I should mention that everything Reagan just described constitutes fraud, legally actionable fraud. Mom, Frederick protested. Don't mom me, she snapped. I raised you better than this. Kayla stumbled forward, mascara streaming down her face. Reagan, please, Let me explain. Explain what? I asked coolly. How you slept with my fiancé the night of our engagement party, or how you plan to run away to Chicago with him after the wedding. Madison, ever helpful, started passing out copies of the evidence to nearby guests. Look, here's the apartment lease and the bank transfers. That's enough, Madison, Rachel called out, but she was grinning. Frederick finally found his voice. The trust fund, all of it? You gave away all of it? Every penny, I confirmed. Consider it my wedding gift to women who actually deserve help. My father, who had been unusually quiet, suddenly stepped forward. Frederick, I suggest you leave, now, before I forget I'm in a house of God. This isn't what it looks like, Kayla pleaded, one hand on her stomach. We fell in love. Love? I laughed. Is that what you call betraying your sister? Planning to steal her money? Tell me, Kayla, does he know about your shopping addiction? The credit card debt? Frederick's head whipped toward her. What debt? Oh, I said innocently, you didn't share that detail, just like she probably didn't tell you the trust fund was worth 8 figures, not 7. His face contorted. 8? And now it's gone, I smiled, along with your Chicago dreams. Samson appeared at the back of the church, right on schedule. Ms. Reagan, everything's been processed. The donations are complete and irreversible. You can't do this, Frederick shouted. Actually, Patricia interjected, she can. The trust was in her name. Activated yesterday, if I heard correctly. Quite clever, really. My mother had moved from anger to cold fury. Kayla, I suggest you leave too, and don't bother coming to Sunday dinners anymore. Mom, please. I have one daughter now, she said firmly. Just one. The guests were torn between watching the drama unfold and awkwardly heading for the exits. Madison was recording everything on her phone. For social media? Rachel asked her. Family archives, Madison replied cheerfully. Future generations need to know what happens to cheaters. Frederick made one last attempt, approaching me with his hands raised. Reagan, baby, we can talk about this. Sir, Samson stepped between us. I'm armed security. I suggest you back away. You hired security? Kayla gasped. I hired everything I needed, I replied. A detective to follow you, lawyers to protect the trust fund, security to ensure today went smoothly. I even hired a real estate agent. A real estate agent? Frederick looked confused. To sell our house, I clarified. Well, my house now. The papers were signed yesterday, another wedding gift to myself. The color drained from his face. Where am I supposed to live? I hear Chicago's nice, I suggested, though you might need to downgrade your apartment plans now. Patricia approached me, holding out a business card. When you're ready to file charges for financial fraud, call me. First consultation's free. Mom, Frederick protested again. Oh, I'm sorry, she said. Did you think I'd support you stealing from your fiancé while sleeping with her sister? I raised a fool, apparently. Kayla sank into a pew, sobbing. What are we going to do? That's not my problem anymore, I said, turning to leave. Though I hear there's a nice women's shelter that just received a very generous donation. Maybe they can help. Rachel fell into step beside me as I walked down the aisle. That was both the best and worst wedding I've ever attended. The day's not over, I replied. There's still a fully catered reception waiting. You're not canceling it? And waste all that food and champagne? Besides, I smiled, I think we all deserve a celebration, just not the one they were expecting. As I reached the church doors, I turned back one last time. Frederick and Kayla stood there, shell-shocked and defeated, while my mother consoled my father and Madison continued her enthusiastic documentation. Oh, and Kayla, I called out, that dress you wanted so badly, the one you tried on behind my back, I bought it yesterday, donated it to a bride who actually deserves a happy ending. The sunlight hit my face as I stepped outside, and for the first time in months, I felt truly free. "Ready?" Rachel asked. "Absolutely," I replied. "I hear the cake is to die for." The reception venue looked stunning, exactly as I'd planned it. White roses everywhere, crystal chandeliers, and a dance floor that wouldn't stay empty for long. "You really kept the reception?" Madison bounced excitedly. "This is legendary." Guests filtered in, awkwardly at first, then with increasing enthusiasm as they realized the open bar was still very much operational. "To Reagan!" Rachel raised her champagne glass. "The most brilliant bride who never was." The room erupted in cheers. Even Patricia joined in, looking more relaxed than I'd ever seen her. "I filed the preliminary fraud paperwork," she told me, sipping her martini. "Frederick's going to have an interesting week ahead." My mother appeared at my elbow. "Darling, there's something you should know. Your sister and Frederick, they tried to check into the honeymoon suite at the plaza." I finished for her. "I know. The hotel called to verify the reservation. And I had it transferred to the women's shelter director. She and her husband could use a vacation." My mother's face broke into a proud smile. "That's my girl." The band I'd hired started playing, and people gradually filled the dance floor. What had been planned as a wedding reception had transformed into something better, a celebration of justice served. "Reagan," my father approached, holding out his hand. "May I have this dance?" As we swayed to the music, he cleared his throat. "I should have seen it, all those business lunches, the late meetings." "It's not your fault, Dad." "No, but I should have raised them better, both of them." "You raised me just fine," I smiled, "and that's what matters." Samson appeared briefly to deliver his final report. "They're at a motel off the highway. Want me to keep tracking them?" "No need," I said. "They're not my problem anymore." Madison rushed over, phone in hand. "You have to see this. Kayla's posted on social media." The post read, "Sometimes love makes you do crazy things, but karma makes you pay for them. Frederick and I are starting over, together." "Check the comments," Madison grinned. Patricia had written, "Starting over with what money?" Rachel grabbed my arm. "Look who just walked in." Standing in the doorway was James, the Chicago job recruiter I'd been working with. "I heard you might be more interested in that position now," he said, approaching with a smile. "No complications holding you back?" "None whatsoever," I replied. "When can I start?" "How's Monday?" The cake cutting came next, a tradition I'd insisted on keeping. As I sliced into the top tier, Rachel whispered, "Shame to waste such a beautiful cake." "Oh, it's not being wasted," I assured her. "I had it redesigned yesterday. Check out the filling." She peered closer at the red velvet interior. "Is that the same shade as betrayal?" I laughed. The baker thought I was crazy, but she managed it perfectly. Later, as the party was winding down, my mother found me on the balcony. "I just got off the phone with your grandmother," she said. "She's furious about the trust fund." My heart skipped a beat. Furious she didn't think of donating to the women's shelter herself, my mother continued. "She's matching your donation." I burst out laughing. "Really?" Says it's the best wedding present she never gave. Inside, Madison was showing guests the evidence folder, now transformed into what she called a cautionary tale scrapbook. Patricia had added legal annotations to each page. "Ready to go?" Rachel asked, joining me on the balcony. I looked back at the reception, my family, friends, and supporters all celebrating not a wedding, but something better, the truth. "Almost," I said. "Just need to do one last thing." I pulled out my phone and opened social media. Under Kayla's post, I wrote, "Sometimes love makes you do crazy things, but sisterhood should make you think twice. Enjoy Chicago. I hear the winters are brutal." P.S. The Women's Shelter says thank you for the trust fund. They're naming their new building the Karma Center. Brutal, Rachel laughed. I love it. Let's go, I said, picking up my purse. I have an apartment to pack up and a new life to start. You know what's funny? Rachel mused as we walked out. They thought they were writing some grand love story. But instead, they became a cautionary tale, and you became the hero. I paused at the door, taking one last look at the celebration behind me. The band was playing I Will Survive, and everyone was on their feet dancing. You know what the best revenge is? I asked. Living well? No, I smiled, stepping into the night air. The best revenge is making sure everyone knows exactly who you are and showing them you're so much more than they thought you could be. Behind us, the party continued, celebrating not the wedding that wasn't, but the truth that finally was.